All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're exploring a pretty mind-bending question that sits right at the intersection of quantum physics and ancient scripture. What if there was a physical, mechanical engine for creation described thousands of years ago? Well, we're about to look at a model that claims to have found that exact engine, hidden in plain sight.
It's probably the most fundamental question you can ask. How does a single, unified source, a singularity, give rise to this entire universe of pairs, of opposites, of incredible complexity? How does pure, simple oneness project itself into the duality that, we experience every single day?
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with that huge question, then look at an ancient blueprint from the Qur'an, jump into some mind-blowing quantum optics, and then, and this is the exciting part, we're going to fuse it all together and see what it tells us about our reality and even our own souls. Okay, so let's get into it. For centuries, philosophers, theologians, and scientists have all wrestled with this same problem. If the source of everything is one, indivisible, how do you get a world of pairs, light and dark, good and evil, without that source somehow breaking itself apart?
And this isn't just some abstract theological debate, right? It's a real puzzle in philosophy and science, too. Our whole universe is built on these dualities, these fundamental pairs. But where did that first pair come from, if the origin point was singular? That's the mystery we're diving into.
Now, this is where things get really interesting. The source material we're looking at points us to one specific verse in the Qur'an, famously known as the verse of light. And the claim is a bold one, that this verse isn't just beautiful poetry, it's a symbolic but deeply mechanical blueprint for exactly how this process of creation works. Listen to the words here. Allah is the light. The example of his light is like a niche. The lamp is within glass, light upon light. The language is definitely symbolic, but notice how specific it is. It's describing components, a niche, a lamp, glass. It almost sounds less like poetry and more like a schematic for some kind of advanced optical device. So to really understand this blueprint, we have to decode its parts. We have the niche, the glass, the lamp, the oil, and then this really mysterious phrase, light upon light. According to this interpretation, every single one of these terms maps directly onto a specific piece of a real-world physical mechanism. And to find that mechanism, we're going to hit pause on ancient scripture for just a moment and jump straight to the cutting edge of quantum optics. We're going to talk about a real process, something that happens in labs every day, called spontaneous parametric down conversion, or SPDC. It's a process where a single particle of light does something that sounds totally impossible. It splits and becomes a pair of twins. So what exactly is SPDC? Well, it's a totally verified quantum phenomenon. Basically, you take one photon with a lot of energy, you fire it through a very specific kind of crystal, and boom, out the other side come two new photons, each with lower energy. One literally becomes two. Let's break that down. It's pretty simple. First, you have what's called the pump photon. This is your source, your one. It goes into this special nonlinear crystal. That's the key, the medium that makes the split happen. And what comes out is an entangled pair of new twin photons, called the signal and the idler. They are born together and they are connected forever. And this is where it gets really, really weird. These twin photons from SPDC are quantumly entangled. What does that mean? It means they are linked in this deep, almost spooky way. If you measure a property of one of them, like its spin, you instantly know the spin of its twin, even if that twin is on the other side of the galaxy. It's like they share a single existence across any distance. Okay, here we go. This is the core of our whole journey today. We have the ancient blueprint from the verse of light on one side, and we have the modern physics of SPDC on the other. Now let's see what happens when we lay one right on top of the other. And I want to be absolutely crystal clear here. The claim being made by the source material isn't that this is a nice metaphor or a cool analogy. No, the claim is that SPDC is the physical nuts and bolts mechanism being described in the symbolic language of the verse of light. So let's start mapping these pieces. In the SPDC process, the input, the source, is that single high-energy pump photon. Well, in the theological model, this maps perfectly to the singular, unified origin, the light of ʿalā, or the divine command be, before it enters the system of creation. Okay, what's next? The medium. In the physics lab, that pump photon has to pass through that special nonlinear crystal. Without that specific crystal structure, nothing happens. In the verse, the medium is the niche and the glass. Our source interprets this as the pure heart of a believer, a medium so pure, so perfectly structured that it can receive that divine light and allow it to split perfectly without just scattering it away as noise. And the output. This is just brilliant. The physics gives us two entangled photons, the signal and the idler. And the Quranic blueprint, in this model, gives us the two entangled realities of our entire existence. On one hand, you have guidance, the light or the signal, and on the other, you have your worldly trial, the fire or the idler, born together from one source, forever linked. So, what does this actually mean for us? What are the implications of this? I mean, what if our spiritual journey and our worldly challenges weren't just running side by side, but were actually born together in the same quantum event and have been entangled ever since? Well, this model proposes that mysterious phrase, light upon light, is the ancient way of describing quantum entanglement. It's not two separate lights, one piled on top of another. It's one single, unified state of existence, a single reality that contains two perfectly correlated parts. This view completely reframes how we see life. It means your guidance, your moments of clarity, your faith, and your trials are not separate things. They are two sides of the same coin. You literally cannot have one without the other. And here's the kicker. When you engage with your guidance, your signal, you instantly affect the outcome of your worldly test, your idler. Nothing is random. It's all perfectly correlated. So let's try to wrap this all up. The source material suggests this entire vast process can actually be distilled into a single, elegant equation, an equation that describes the creation of our dualistic reality. Now, don't let the symbols freak you out. This is what's being called the equation of the soul. And all it's really saying is that our total state of reality is the entangled product of two things: our spiritual guidance, the light, and our worldly test, the fire. They are locked together. You can't solve for one without dealing with the other. This table really just puts the entire model in a nutshell. The input is the singular divine command. The crystal that processes it is the receptive human heart. The output is this entangled pair of faith and trial. And the whole point of our existence then is to recognize that perfect connection between the two and act on it. And the source material points out that this theme of creation by splitting shows up elsewhere. This verse, for example, describes the creation of male and female as a pair emerging from a single drop. It's another way of framing creation itself as the ultimate act of down conversion, from one into two. So we'll end on this thought. If there's even a kernel of truth to this model, if our struggles aren't just random, meaningless events, but are perfectly, quantumly entangled with our spiritual guidance, how does that totally change the way you look at the challenges in your own life? What if every single difficulty is just the other side of a divine signal, just waiting for you to turn and face it?